Welcome to the Authentic Man podcast. I am your host, David Chambers. This is a podcast for men who want more and less from life. More deep connection, more emotional intelligence, more self-awareness, and more great sex. And less heartache, less conflict, less overthinking, and less stress. Creating dating lives, sex lives, and relationships that are incredible and authentic. My deepest goal is that you, the listener, can take away what you hear in this podcast and apply it to your life so that you can experience greater happiness, transformational growth, deeper relationships, and profound sexual intimacy. I believe that as men, we are capable of so much more depth than we are shown or led to believe. So join me as we get deep into this. Welcome to the Authentic Man podcast with me, David Chambers. Some of you regular listeners, you knew us as the Authentic Dating series. Now it's the Authentic Man podcast with David Chambers. And I'm back with episode 80. It's been a while, right? It's been a 6 months since I last put out an episode. It wasn't part of the plan, but life kind of does its own thing sometimes, right? And you just have to flow with that and roll with what happens. And for your new listeners, I'm David Chambers. I'm a men's dating and intimacy coach. I help men pretty much create the relationships that they really dream of, or they don't even believe are possible. I've been coaching men for over a decade now in this area. So yeah, and got a really incredible episode, right? Because we're going to be talking about embodying your masculinity to be deeply attractive. And it's one of the things a lot of guys come to me for is like, how can I meet the woman of my dreams? How can I be more attractive? I'm struggling to, have good dates, have fun dates. And we're really going to get into the depth of the deepness of this, not just like the superficial things you're saying and doing. It's going to be real depth you're going to get from this episode. So you might want to grab yourself a pen and a pad to really get into it. And I'm joined by an amazing guest who he will introduce himself in the main episode. But his name is Lorin Krenn, a man who I've got to know through Instagram and some of his workshops I've attended, and it's just amazing work that he does. He's a deep intimacy teacher. He helps men and women experience deep intimacy by embodying masculine and feminine dynamics. And the work he does is phenomenal. His posts on Instagram are amazing, so you should go and check him out. And he does some wonderful workshops, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's going to be in this episode, really, because, you want to know a little bit about that. We're going to talk about, obviously, attraction, what kills attraction, what creates attraction with women. And little things like, why do women test men? Why is there, these little tests that happen in relationships and also in dating as well, right? We're going to talk a lot about the power of being on your mission, right? Being on purpose, finding purpose. There's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of talk about, obviously, sexual attractiveness and how we embody our masculinity to really amplify that in our relationships and in our dating lives. And then there's some talk around, why we attract certain types of women into our lives, whether they be insecure, emotionally unavailable, or deeply superficial or fake, for instance, for some guys. So yeah, there's a lot in the episode. It's an amazing listen. I really enjoyed editing this episode back. Really, really enjoyed it. So you're in for an absolute treat. And obviously, this is the beginning of the season. There's going to be a lot of episodes. I've got a lot of great guests. If you're listening to this on the day it was released, there's a few episodes coming out this day, today. As well. If you're listening to this later, then so be it. You know that there's plenty of episodes for you to listen to. And yeah, I'm just really, really looking forward to this season, really looking forward to just getting deeper into the topics, getting deeper into things around masculinity, around men, around sex, around intimacy, around dating, around relating and connecting. The, Authentic Dating series was very much about dating, as the name said, but now Authentic Man is an expanded topic. It's going to be about a little bit more than that, right? And I'm going to have a lot of amazing guests coming on over the course of this year, over the weeks, as well. And also I'm going to be doing mini episodes on the weekend. I'm going to put out a weekend episode. It's going to be 5 to 10 minutes long, and it's going to be really getting into the tactical details of Maybe you want to have better sex, you want to have better orgasms, you want to, find great place to go on dates, or maybe it's just a case of you want to be more confident, or you want to be able to communicate much better with your partner. I'm going to give you bite-sized tactical things you could do, help you with conversation and stuff like that. So really make a difference in your life instantly. So yeah, we're going to get into the episode, but beforehand, I'm just going to let you know, because you're going to listen to this episode and you'll be like, my God, Lorin, he's amazing. I want to do more work with him. So inside the show notes, I've got, links to his Instagram, links to his website, but he's also running a workshop, right, on the 27th of June. And it's from 5 till 7 UK time. And it's the secrets of deep intimacy. The secrets of deep intimacy. It's going to be an incredible workshop. I might even be there myself because, like I said, I'm a real admirer of his work. He does amazing, amazing work. And he's also got a mentorship if you're interested in that. So you can find him on his website, which should be in the show notes as well. So feel free. And the last thing, actually the second to last thing, I have a couple of workshops coming up. I've got one around tantric massage for couples, which is happening on the 9th of June. And I've also got a deeper dating event where I'm doing with my partner, also, and we are going to basically be doing in-person dating event. Whew, in person. People will be coming together and being close to each other. In-person speed dating event, but not just speed dating, it could be deeper speed dating where you actually deeply get to know each other. We provide you with some conversational starter cards to help you actually get into some conversation, not just this boring, superficial conversation of like, oh, what do you do? Where are you from? That kind of stuff, right? You're going to really get to know people. And that's going to be in London, in an East London location. And you can be able to find the link to that inside the show notes as well. Or you can go on Eventbrite and just search for deeper dating and you'll be able to find it there. So the last bit of information before we get into the episode, I promise it's the last one, is that I'm running a competition to win a seat, a place at a workshop I'm running. And it's an exclusive workshop. There's no one's going to be paying to come to this workshop. The only people that can come to this workshop are people that have entered this competition. And everyone that enters the competition gets a seat, right? So how it works is the workshop is called Being Authentically Attractive. I did this talk somewhere before. I ran this workshop very exclusively for a very small number of people. And I'm going to run it for free for the wonderful followers and people that love the podcast. And it's all about how men and women, it's for men and women, can be deeply attractive and can really embody the sort of attractiveness that brings the partner we dream of into our lives, brings the sex lives we want into our lives, right? And helps us just feel more confident, more vibrant, more energetic. Whew. And that's what you all want, right? And that's happening on the 2nd of July, but it's going to be recorded. So it's going to be recorded, so you can be able to watch it whenever you want. So to win that, all you have to do is something very simple, and I'm going to explain it right now. So first thing, you go to Instagram, right? And you follow the Authentic Man, which is me. Authentic, and that's at authenticman_. And you're going to see the picture that you see on the podcast, right? First, easy. Next, find one of the first kind of 3 or 4 episodes from this season, right? The episode will be really obvious slide, obvious post, and share that to your Instagram stories and tag me. Dead simple. The reason why you need to tag me is because if you tag me, then I see it, then I can enter you as a name that's going to be on this workshop, right? And the workshop's going to be amazing. So I'm going to tell you again how to do that. Follow me on Instagram. Find a post from one of the first 3 episodes and then share it. Share it on your stories and tag me. And that's it. And then you win. And then you're in and you get a seat. I'm expecting there's going to be quite a number of people. But it's okay. It's going to be on Zoom, right? So that's it. So without further ado, we're going to get into the incredible episode that is this one. So on today's podcast, we've got an amazing guest. I came across his content a few months ago, but I went to his masterclass and I just felt this huge energy and love for the work that he's putting out, for the dynamics and helping people really deeply relate to each other. He is an absolute master in deep intimacy and a man who knows so much about how men and women and how attraction is formed between the two. His name is Lorin. Hello, Lorin.
Hello, my brother. It's an honor to be here.
It's great to have you here. Great to have you here. How do you describe yourself when you get to intro yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great question, and I think it's also not so easy to describe exactly what I do. But the easiest way and the simplest way to describe that would be that I'm a deep intimacy teacher. So I teach people how they can experience deep and healthy intimacy. I initially started as a men's coach and coached only men, but then I moved on to also coaching women as well. And and I teach men and women how to experience deep intimacy, but I with a very specific focus on creating sexual polarity, the law of polarity, or otherwise referred to masculine, feminine dynamics. And just through specializing in masculine and feminine dynamics, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable because people think like, okay, you've got masculine and feminine energy, right? And that's it. That's just inside you. You just gotta kind of balance that. But there is a depth there that is incredible. A depth, and if you truly understand it and embody and use it, you can shift everything in your relationship or dating life. And and that is what I basically do. And apart from being a teacher, I coach people one-on-one, and I'm also an author of an Amazon of in the US an Amazon bestseller in sacred sexuality, understand women better, a book for men. Initially written for men, but a lot of women also get the book.
'Cause it helps the women understand themselves more deeply as well, right?
Yeah, man, exactly. Yeah.
Because this is, as you said, the masculine and feminine, though we all have it. There's a we relate to it often as like a fixed structure, right?
Mm.
That's there for us. But actually, like you said, there's this depth of learning and understanding and learning what's really possible for us when we can really harness that power consciously and we can live out of that kind of level of consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, it's just understanding. I mean, most people have a certain understanding of masculine and feminine dynamics, but as I said before, there is an incredible depth to it. It's one way of relating to the world. You use the word consciousness. There's so many ways to expand our consciousness, but through relating, through, at least that's my way, masculine and feminine dynamics, it's not just how you become more attractive. It's not just that you understand women better. It's also that you evolve at the deepest level of fucking consciousness. You evolve at the highest level. And this is the crazy thing. The crazy thing is, I'm sure you can relate to this. People come always to me and they want these tips and techniques, right? These quick
Mm,
fixes. How do I change my performance? How do I do this? But in order to really make a complete shift, you know, um, you have to relate to something deeper.
mm,
And it's just, if you evolve and expand in consciousness all the time, then everything around you will evolve as well. And I mean, this is the deep path, this is the deep journey. So for instance, if a man comes to me and says, yeah, I want to experience more sex with a woman or with my wife, I want to experience more polarity, instead of giving him specific techniques and just saying do X, Y, and Z, it's about doing the real deep inner work so he gets to a state where it's just being effortlessly created because he's in such an alignment and so in his center.
it stops being something he's doing, it starts being part of his being.
Yeah, a part of his being, embodiment, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So how did you come to this work? What was your
Hmm.
journey into becoming a teacher?
Yeah. The way I came into this work was my father died very early in my life, of cancer in my arms. And that was my first experience with death. And I would call it the greatest spiritual teacher out there. And also, of course, what it taught me, losing my father so early, is that I had no healthy role model as a father because my father was no longer there. And I was trying to find always other role models, other people, and I looked up to other people, but I could always sense in my energy like, but that is not a role model. That is not how I want to become. Typical locker room talk, right? Women are
Mm.
crazy. She's in her period again. I fucked XY. Can I swear here in the podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
I fucked X amount of bitches, blah, blah, this kind of really, really low consciousness kind of talk. And I always had this feeling in my stomach, okay, but these are not healthy role models. I want to be something else. So, right from the beginning, there was this drive in me. I want to be different. I want to embody a completely different kind of masculinity. And where it really started to shift was when I realized that that my relationship to the feminine was just a disaster. I was this typical, most people call it fuck boy, right?
Mm.
Like just pick up. I wouldn't say that I was necessarily a pickup artist, but I would just ask a woman on the street for a number. I would constantly engage with women in every way. Saw a beautiful woman, just talked with her. And people around me, my friends at that time, always told me, "Wow, man, you're so fucking amazing. You can just talk to any woman. Every woman looks at you on the street." That kind of talk. And they also called me Casanova. And while all of this might be like, that's so cool, that guy has it figured out, I felt so incredibly empty and drained. It was incredible. I was in the moment while I was dating or just asking for a number, I felt some kind of charge, some kind of, oh, wow, I'm doing something cool. I'm really confident. But the truth is, when I was alone, no woman, no one to impress, no playing the alpha male or the kind of jock or Casanova, I was like, okay, but I feel completely empty. I feel really insecure, really unworthy also. And then I came into my first relationships, longer relationships, and I just realized that they were a total mess. It was just, I had no idea how to show up. I knew exactly how to get a woman, how to get her number, how to get on a dates. But after a couple of dates, when it gets like really into it becomes a deep emotional experience. I was like, okay, but I have no idea how to hold the space. I don't know how to listen to a woman. I don't know how to create polarity. And of course, naturally, it created a lot of suffering. And by really experiencing so much suffering in my relationships and my relationship to the feminine, at some point I realized, okay, enough is enough. I can't live that life anymore. I don't want to be anxious when I am right with my girlfriend. I don't want to be a pleaser or go back to the whole fuck boy kind of picking women up and trying to be cool. And this is the crazy thing is, underneath that was a pleaser. Underneath that was an insecure person. And this is so interesting because the paradox is people see pickup artists as, wow, they are super ultra confident, but they are most often the real pleasers than in a deep relationship, which blew my mind completely, how different I was to when I just asked for a number on the streets. Suddenly 6 months in a relationship, I was like, fuck, anxious, insecure, not knowing how to own myself, not feeling confident, stuck in my mind constantly. And just I'm explaining, I'm going very deep here, but to make it shorter and to make it more precise, um, at some point I said, okay, enough is enough. I started reading David Deida, The Superior Man, and many books, all kinds of books about masculinity. But still, it was just intellectual knowledge. It was just intellectual knowledge. So I tried to use these things. Breathe deeply into your stomach while you are with your woman. I did all of that, but it didn't really create any energetic change. And I did it again and again, and nothing happened. And at some point, although there were some shifts, and I noticed, okay, whoa, something is changing here. And I mean, I then went out of my of a relationship because it was again the kind of suffering we experienced. We experienced a lot of suffering there, and I went out of that relationship. And that is when I really sat in meditation and I said to myself, okay, here this shit ends. I either enter a new relationship as a completely new man, or I don't fucking enter a relationship. And I am in my highest integrity. There's no texting with women, and of course, also not even flirting. It's like being completely in the highest fucking integrity. And that is when I met my dream woman, which I'm together with now. And within a couple of months, everything blew up. My coaching
Mm.
business, everything in my life. And I know you might want to ask, okay, but what changed here? I don't know what exactly changed, but it was this, how it exactly changed, but it was this deep rooted intention, this hunger, this 10 out of 10 hunger. I want to be different.
Mm. Yes, I really resonate with your story. And like your story, what I love about the story is it's so powerful because there's a lot of men listening, a lot of women listen as well, right? To the podcasts. And it's like, my story is not so different to yours. I used to teach the pickup artist stuff, right? Then go back 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I was teaching on the streets of London. I was, could walk up to any woman in any
Fuck,
place.
man, really?
Yeah, one day I said to myself, I worked for a company called POA Training, which doesn't exist. It used to be owned by a guy called Gambler. And I kind of gave myself at one point in my life, I probably was about 23, and I was just meeting women who were disasters, right? I had a good career. I love to travel. I was meeting women who just wanted to get drunk, buy handbags, and it just wasn't resonating with me, right? And I got into the pickup stuff and I started to learn, and I started to realize that I had a lot more confidence than I thought I had, right? And I set myself a goal. I was like, I want to be able to pick up any woman anywhere at any given time if I want to, right? And I got there. I remember one day going into a bar with a friend of mine who used to host a podcast with Ahmad. And I said to him, beginning of the night, I saw a girl and I pointed, I said, I want to get her number. And he was like, okay. And she's the only woman I spoke to all night. And I took her number. And I remember leaving the club that night going, yeah, I've got to where I wanted to. And, conversation, but what happened to me, I'd get into a relationship and all there would be was fucking conflict, full of conflict, because I couldn't communicate my wants and needs. I couldn't empathize with her feelings. I wanted a woman to act like a man and think like me, but that doesn't happen, right? The feminine is not like the masculine, and that's the way it is. And I just had turmoil in my relationships. And after many years, I came to travel for a couple of years across the world. I started out in Southeast Asia, went all the way around to South America, and I broke up with my then girlfriend in a hotel room in Bolivia. And it all came down to the fact that I really wanted to have some space, and I just couldn't ask her for it because I didn't want to upset her. The key reason I didn't want to upset her, I was so hell bent on like, I can't upset her because if I upset her, something it makes me bad and wrong in the relationship. And after that, I just went on this whole thing of like, I need to get my fucking relationship to my emotions sorted out. And over the last kind of 3 years, I've just like brought more alignment, more communication, more feeling the other people in my life. And for me, it's started to click now where it's like, I'm speaking my truth almost all the time. Whenever the opportunity to speak my truth is, I sit here, I talk to people, I speak my truth with my girlfriend, I go see my parents. It's like I'm always speaking my truth. And what I get from your story was, as you started to speak your truth and live your truth, right? And live in the integrity of your truth, everything aligned for you and started to move in the direction of your energy, right? Of what you were putting out into the world.
Yeah. And just to elaborate because I said, I love what you're saying here. Before I said being in highest integrity, some people might understood this wrongly when I said not even flirting with women. What I meant there was not leaking in my sexual energy, right? That was what I was referring to, all the people who are listening right now. It wasn't meant that you're not able to flirt with someone, and I would never say, I'm not a fan of dogmas, right? But you said it here, coming from the deepest truth, coming from true authenticity. Am I doing this because I want to get attention? Or am I doing this because I'm really feeling this right now? This is what's the next step in my journey. This is every cell in my body saying yes to this. This comes from I would call it grounded decision making. Making decisions from a state of being in your center, being grounded, is just for a man is life-changing. It's just life-changing.
Yeah, it is. And it's and it kind of leads us into where I wanted to start actually, around how men can be, I've kind of got like how men can be more attractive, but the real question is like, how can men embody, this is the kind of topic we want to explore today, is like how men can embody the masculinity, their deep, truthful masculinity to be more attractive, right? And it's such a big topic because out there is all these hacks, right? How to hack attraction, how to, get a woman to, smell nice or dressing well, acting alpha per se, or even as you said, the pickup artists did, right? They had all these ways of appearing to be attractive and interesting, but they ended up really being shells of human beings because once you got past the initial few weeks, few months, there was no substance to their being, right?
Yeah, I mean, you said it there. You can have the best suits, you can wear the best clothes, you can do everything right, you can do every fucking hack. I don't know the hacks, but You just mentioned some of them. You can do every single one of these things. And still, I'm going to give a very practical example. You could have a man, his beard's completely out of control, his hair out of control, wearing fucking Adidas jogging pants or something like that. And then you can have a man who is seemingly perfect right? Like perfect suit, hairstyle perfectly, amazing perfume. But still, of course, maybe the one man is better dressed and all of that. But still, that doesn't mean that the man who is better dressed and has got all of this will necessarily create more attraction with a woman. Because the other man who is, and this is of course a very stupid example, but still, this man who is not, doesn't dress properly and all of that, but if his energy is really in alignment, if he knows who he is, he's really present, right? Then that outplays everything. That just, or even I would say outranks everything. And it's just, the way to explain this, the most powerful way to explain this is mastery of your energy. Instead of mastering how you dress, mastering all of that, which is amazing, learn to master your energy. How are you showing up? That has the deepest impact when it comes to attraction. It's how do you show up? Are you present? Are you fully here? Are you decisive? Are you making decisions not just because in order to please, but really out of your balls, out of your heart, that heart balls connection. And then when you master your energy, out of that, you will naturally choose the right clothes as well. You will naturally express yourself in the most truthful way. But this is not a hack. This is the deep fucking inner work. And when you're engaged in this work, then it's incredible. I mean, it's the way I can describe this as well is, imagine now, for example, a lot of men always have this goal when they meet a woman. Okay, I gotta have sex with her. This and the X, Y, and Z has to happen, and that proves how powerful I am. But imagine you go on a date and you don't expect anything. And if she tells you, hey, I don't wanna, let's say she rejects you in the sense because you think she's going to your house or whatever, or you're going to your house, but you're like, you don't expect anything. Her decisions or what she decides to do doesn't impact your energy. That is mastery of energy. If she says, hey, or even if she says, hey, I don't want to meet you again, it's like, instead of coming from a state of, oh, but why did that happen? Why did she reject me? What did I do wrong? You're just like, okay, yeah, that's fine for me. I know who I am. I know what I want in life. And if that's how she responds, then I say, okay, that's fine with me. And this kind of mastery of energy, that is just incredible. Or for instance, when a woman doesn't want to have sex and you really want it. So instead of getting like irritated, you just chill. You wait for her to invite you again. All of these little things are mastery of your energy. And that is just the most powerful way to create, because your energy creates attraction.
Yeah. I really, when you were talking about the date, what I really felt there is just from my own experiences of when I was really feeling grounded in who I was and the truth that I wanted to emanate from me at all times, was you go on a date with a woman and your only expectation is of yourself to show up as you in your fullest, right? So you're there, you're being yourself, you're being your fullest self. And you're almost not oblivious to the reaction you get, but you're there in this playful way to be yourself and enjoy the evening, and for someone to be in your, I like to call it almost like the whirlwind that you create around you of enjoyment. But if at the end of the night they go, oh, it was a good time, but I don't really see this going anywhere, you can almost, you pretty much can smile to yourself, and there may even be some sadness, right? And it's not that you will not feel anything. Like, I'm really hearing what you're saying. It's just, there's no need for you to be like, oh, please, like, why do you not want to see me again? It might be you feel the sadness, and you might even say to a woman, yeah, that's a shame because I had a really good time, but I get it. And that's okay. It's cool. And you can walk away because you know, as you said, her, no, I'll call it rejection. Her rejection of you doesn't mean anything about you.
Yeah. And it's just unbelievable how much bullshit there is out there about what creates attraction. Like you said, all these many hacks. It's all it's being created. So the best way to put this is like this. The feminine always responds to your underlying energetic state. So no matter if you say the right words, no matter what specific things you're doing, she can always feel what's behind it, what's underneath that. And if what's underneath that is someone who is just acting, someone who is very insecure, someone who doesn't feel like themselves, then this will repel her. She will feel that. And that is also why, for instance, a lot of good-looking men who believe just because they look good or because they get a lot of attention have so much suffering and despair in their relationships because they're not showing up and doing the deep inner work.
I really hear what you say there about the insecurity, right? And this is something that comes up a lot. Clients I find is like, oh, they are trapped in this cycle of meeting women, especially men, meeting women who are quote unquote feeling very insecure about themselves and that confidence. And then it creates this dynamic in a relationship. I imagine you've probably experienced this where, you know, you're with a woman and she's very insecure and she projects her insecurities onto you. Everything you do is an attack on her, or you're trying to be with other women. And I'm like, okay, so let's sit with, what are you insecure about? Where are your insecurities, right? And often as men, we struggle. We don't want to be vulnerable when what's really happening underneath. And it's like, oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But it goes, no, I'm feeling good. I'm confident, I'm happy. And you're like, no, what are you insecure about? It might even be, as one of my spiritual teachers said, she goes, it's not the big rocks that cause you problems over in life. It's the small little pebbles that are still left that you haven't cleared, And it's like, what do you say to that dynamic where you are attracting the sort of partners that you don't want to attract? They might be insecure, they might be emotionally unavailable, they may be, I'm trying to think of another issue that comes up a lot. They might not want to really commit as well. That's something that comes up a lot as well.
You always attract what you are ready for and what you also believe at a deeper level you are worthy. So if there is some deep-rooted belief that you are not worthy of having a woman in your life who commits, who embraces you as you are, who supports you in your journey, right? Then you won't be able to attract that. And also the other thing is, when you always attract, let's say, insecure women, the example you put there, insecurity attracts insecurity. It is very unlikely that a man deeply in his integrity, at a high level of consciousness, has mastered his energy. Well, we're never perfect, right? And I love what you said there. This doesn't mean, when I say master your energy, that you don't feel sadness or you feel shame or heavy emotions. What this simply means is that you don't allow this to just do whatever the fuck it wants with you. You recognize it, you acknowledge it, but you kind of use that intensity to go even deeper. Maybe you express it vulnerably, or you breathe into that, you relax into it, you use that intensity for your path to have even more hunger to show up more powerfully. So this is something really powerful here for every man listening. When you feel shame, when you feel strong sadness, there is always a strong intensity behind these emotions, right? And you can take advantage of that intensity, because that same intensity that's in sadness, that's in suffering, that's in fear, that same intensity is also is very similar to when you experience joy, when you experience confidence, when you have the emotions on the other side of the spectrum. And so having a lot of fears is often a good sign, because when you have very strong fears, there is such an intensity there. And if you use that intensity in your purpose, in your mission, it's just you have so much energy available. You see? Yeah.
Because it's something that I've come to hear a lot recently, and I really believe is emotionally, as men, often we live in this very small range in the middle, right? This very neutral, almost stoic, but I think people have lost the real meaning of stoic over the years. But we don't feel too much excitement, we don't feel too much lows. But what you're saying there is that when you can experience those lows, you know, that the deepest sadness, sorrow, fear, it also means that you can experience something else at that other end, that fucking intense joy. That I've been doing a lot of work with the emotional wheel recently, so I think it's a beautiful tool for men. It's like zeal, like this real zest for life, and like having that is such a benefit, because it means that this is the, as you put it, intensity that you can bring into life, into so many of your experiences.
And also the way we men work, I'm sure you hear that in your coaching business. Men don't ask for help when they're kind of feeling low. Men ask for help when shit is about to go down, not when the ship is about to sink, but when the ship is deep in the water and it's like SO fucking S, you know, that is when men ask for help. And I mean, of course, there's a lot of stigma around that, and hopefully that changes now. And because women naturally just tend to ask for more help, ask for support, they have the incredible support system, which we men often don't have. And when you ask a good brother, often when we ask, for instance, let's say you experience intense sadness, and then you ask a good brother and say, "Hey, I'm feeling this heavy sadness," and he's like, "Let's get a beer, let's drink it, let's drink something, or just don't think about it, you know, or doesn't matter, let's do something else." That's not the kind of way to deal with it. But when the more intense your fears are, the more possibility you have to actually become the exact opposite. Because the journey of awakening for us men, is that we experience so much suffering, and this is what happened in my journey as well, that at some point you just say, enough is enough. You're like, I can't bear this suffering. Either, this was also a decision I made, either I die fucking now, or I shift my entire life. And it's this kind of 10 out of 10 deep-rooted hunger for growth that changes everything. This is also this is not a necessarily stoic mindset, but it's really this kind of sacred warrior mindset. It's not rigid, but it's like, okay, either I go this way or I die right now. And this sounds very intense. It's like, whoa, death, bringing up death. But you see, death is our greatest ally, because it's also for us men, one of the most powerful practices, and I believe it comes from Stoicism, is if you would die right now, would you die with an open heart? Would you die being in service? Would you die showing up fully? And if the answer is no, then there is work to do. And if the answer is yes, then there is 100% guarantee that that man is truly living his truth.
Oh yeah, I feel that. It's almost like in our society, the way we have built things, especially in the Western world. On my travels, I really saw different cultures have a very different relationship to death. You know, I remember being in India and being in a place called Varanasi, where they carry the dead bodies through the streets. They take them, they burn them by the Ganges, and they wash it away. Beautiful. And you see death, so you are aware that it is coming. It will come for you. Whereas here, we hide it away. We don't like to talk about it. But actually, a man's awareness to death always reminds him that his day can come very soon. And it's like, what are you doing right now, today, to live the best way that you can? The most purposeful, the most in service, the most turned on by life way that you can be in.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure some men who are listening to this right now, they say, whoa, but that's really intense, right? I just want to get a little bit more attractive. I just want to have a better life. But the funny thing is, that is not how it works. The way our fears, our insecurities, our negative thinking and emotions have such a strong momentum, it requires more than just a desire to be a little bit more confident or to have a little bit of a better experience. Either you are in your comfort zone or you are outside of your comfort zone. And here, what also comes is living at your edge. This is, by the way,
Mm,
also really important about one of the keys about creating attraction between you and a woman is about living at your edge. Now, living at your edge doesn't mean that you burn yourself out ferociously and you are super stressed and you can't deal with anything anymore. But living at your edge means that you are doing stuff that scares the shit out of you. Every man needs to be doing stuff that scares the shit out of him, but not the kind of scarcity where it needs to be a mixture between scarcity and excitement. It's this kind of okay, let's say you want to be a speaker, right? You really want to be a public speaker. Then you have to do constantly stuff that scares the shit out of you. And by overcoming this every single time, you are living at your edge. You're constantly doing things that are part of your deepest dreams, but also scare you the most. And by living at your edge, you create so much polarity, because it's like this safe rock for the feminine.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's actually a photographer. He does body confidence photography, but we'd love to chat. And we were saying how, well, my theory is around comfort zone. It's like your comfort zone is a very small area, right? Where you're comfortable, your fucking sofa, you're going to your day job you've had for many years. And then there's another layer around there, which is like stuff that's just outside your comfort zone. That might be running a half marathon. It could, for some people, it's running 10K. They're like, oh, I don't think I could quite do that. I don't think I can. Maybe I can, but I don't think I can, right? And
Yeah.
it's like pushing into that area constantly, like daily, weekly, because when you do that as a man, like you said, living on the edge, that edge starts to grow and it gets into what I call the stuff that's way out your fucking comfort zone, right? Like, me running a marathon in 10 minutes is way fucking outside my comfort zone, right? But if I keep pushing that edge every day, like doing things that push me, doing things that scare me a little bit, scare me like medium, it pushes that. And before you know it, your sphere of comfort is huge,
Yeah.
and you are living, your edge just becomes so fucking wide that your edge is fucking changing the world.
Yeah, no, I love that. For instance, taking cold showers, right? At the beginning, when I started taking cold showers, it was like, yeah, a couple of seconds felt almost unbearable. But then after some time, you just get to a level where you can just be in it. Not, I wouldn't say that you're very comfortable necessarily now and you're deeply enjoying it, but still, it's just, I love what you're saying here, brother. It's that sphere of comfort becomes so much bigger. And this is also the thing. Every fucking man has a deep rooted soul's purpose. And
mm,
honestly, honestly, this is a very intense approach, but still, if you are not putting all your free time or optimally 99% of your time into your soul's purpose, into what's truly your vision and mission, then you're wasting your life. And it's also impossible for a man to be confident then. It is impossible. And this is basically actually where it all starts. Where it all starts is living your mission. And from there you expand, right? But if you wear the perfect clothes, if you do all the dating hacks, but you're not living your mission, you will be it's like just having an outer shell, but inside there is nothing.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, like, what's your idea around purpose and attraction? Because I feel like they're so tightly linked when it comes to a man and his living. It's like there was a point in my life where I was just traveling, and my in those moments, my purpose was just connecting with people, to connect with all the people that I met, and that was deeply my purpose at the time. And it just meant that I was just so present and in the moment to everyone I met, because I was deeply in what I was about. And I was doing the thing, I was connecting with people, but the way I connected with people was just so beautifully, and making friends at bus stops. But I remember a story one day. I was in Colombia, I was on the bus, and I was watching a series called Roots. And it's about the slave trade between Africa and the Caribbean and the States, sorry. And there's a point I was watching one episode and I was just crying on the bus, right? I'm on this bus. There's this Colombian man next to me. My Spanish is very, very light. And he's like looking at me. He's like, "You okay?" And I'm smiling and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I was, because I could feel the what was going on so much. But like, what's your ideas? What's your feelings around a man's purpose and his level of attractiveness in the world?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. I mean, I would say that, and I touched upon this before, real growth, real growth on all levels, including spiritual, only happens when you're stepping into your calling. So you can meditate as much as you want. You can do as much breath work, and I do so much of it. It's part of it's one of the biggest parts of my life, doing breath work, doing yoga and advanced yogic breath work. But you can do all of that. But it all doesn't matter if you are not doing what you're truly here to do. And if I didn't write my book, for instance, I can throw my meditation out of my window, because the meditation is there to sharpen me, to get the things done that I'm here supposed to do, to get my unique message out to as much people as possible. It's funny because we often see spiritual growth, and I refer to spiritual growth as growth in all areas, holistic growth, we could also call it, is often like this kind of woo-woo, you grow when you meditate and it's not really clear. But you grow, as I said before, when you do the stuff that scares you. But it's like there's this excitement. It's like, okay, fuck, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to do it. And when you do that again and again, then you're being initiated into higher states of awareness, into higher states of consciousness. That gives you a power which is unbelievable. It gives you also a confidence, a deep-rooted sense of worthiness as well. And so basically, all a man has to do, he comes into this world and he has to find his purpose. And then he has to live this purpose. And then he has to build up structures in order to really be a pure vessel for that purpose. Because the thing is, your purpose might be to be an author, right? But if you're constantly stuck in relationships and wake up and check your phone immediately and write that woman, why did you leave me? Why do you not want to be with me? Then you can't really write from your deepest heart. So it's as simple as that, which is, of course, it's simple in theory, and it's also simple in I mean, you have a dream, tell me about your dream. Well, my dream is X, Y, and Z. Okay, go for it every fucking day until you get there, and build up the structures and the systems around it. But and I mean, it sounds simple, but it's fucking hard.
Because like you said, there's so much other things in life that are there that have been not deliberately be created by us, by society, to distract us from even being able to have the time to find our purpose. Many of us work in jobs that we are so unaligned to what we're about. And then there's things like alcohol, drugs, partying, fucking, sport, television, all these things that just like diffuse our attention. So we end up with so little time to even put to our minds to what our purpose could be.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the path of the sacred warrior. The path of the sacred warrior is to find a way to not get lost in distraction, to not get lost in the lust and pleasures that life offers. Not that there is anything wrong with that. You can watch Netflix. Even, I mean, there is nothing wrong about enjoying pleasure in life. But the way I work and also work with my clients is, you live your mission and then you enjoy the pleasure. Then you have that, you you have done your fucking work, you know, and then you can engage in these things. And the funny thing is, then it also then you can actually enjoy it. You can't enjoy any of these things if you are not living your truth. It's as simple as that. If you are not doing what you hear, if you're not doing what you hear, what you're supposed to be doing here in this life, your mission, your calling, your soul's purpose, then you won't be able to enjoy anything.
No, definitely. I feel that. And it's just so linked to your level of being and attractiveness in the world, because if you're not following, like as you said so many times, if you're not following that, the way your energy will come out in the world just won't bring people towards you, right? And it's the same. I always say to people, when you start following your purpose and you start, really putting yourself on the edge, on the line for it, all the people you need, the people to support you, start to fall in place. The structures, it's almost like, I often have a vision for myself when I step into some of my goals, and part of my purpose is like I'm walking in a void, but every time I take a step, it's like a tile flies in just under my foot, wherever I put my foot, because I'm able to walk on the edge. I trust that it's coming in for me.
And your energy becomes like a laser. You know exactly this direction. You need direction in life, just like what you said here. And this direction makes a man irresistibly attractive, because when a man with direction, he knows exactly where he wants to go in life, meets a woman, then he can also clearly articulate his values, his desires, because all is in service to his deepest mission. And he will never compromise his mission for the relationship. And this is a big one. Many of us men, many brothers out there, I've been there as well, they live their mission, but when they meet a beautiful woman which they have strong emotions for, suddenly there is no mission anymore. You're not getting the things done. You are spending 3 hours sexting. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with sexting, but after you fucking lived your mission, after you're doing what you hear, what you're supposed to be doing in this world. And this is also, we can call it the distracted man, right? It's like something comes in your life and you're like a leaf that is dancing and flowing in the wind. But when you have that direction, then you naturally also build your entire life around it. And like you say, everything falls in place. And simply, when a very insecure woman comes your way, you won't stay with her. Why? Not because there is anything bad about her, but she is not supporting you in your mission. This is not supporting you in your highest calling, which doesn't mean that a woman is only here to support you in your highest mission, but still, your mission has to be your number one priority. And that creates irresistible attraction. Irresistible attraction. And this is also, I mean, before I had some difficulties to articulate it, now it comes easier to me. When a man asks, how do I become more confident? How do I become more this? It's very hard to work on your level of confidence. Again, if you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing here, if you have no direction. This is that a man gains his confidence, gains his trust in his ability, speaks his truth when he's walking the hero's journey. And we all have that journey. We come into a world and we have a big vision, and then we have to somehow make it work. And that requires spiritual power, not just mental power, not just physical power. All of us, all of us.
Yeah, I feel that. I really do. I've got a couple of more things I want to touch on before we finish up, actually. And one of them is around the idea that in society that women are attracted to the shiny things, the money, the status, the looks. Where do you feel that that's kind of come from? How's that idea come to be? That a lot of men hold that as very true. Like, oh, if I have money and I have a nice car and I have a big house, then all the women will come to me and then I will have the choice of the models and stuff. Like, where do you feel that's come from?
It's total nonsense. Because if you drive the Lamborghini and you have all of that, you might get women. That is true. But your relationship will still suck. It will suck completely, because the way this works, and this is the dance of masculine and feminine, is that she will be testing you constantly. And your money and all your success and the shiny things are not helping you to have a strong spiritual muscle that is able to stand in her storm, right? And I'm not talking about a woman that is extremely traumatized. That has nothing to do with testing, right? A woman, highly avoidant woman, for instance, that has nothing to do with testing. But still, the way this works, and a lot of men label this as emotional manipulation, but it isn't. Maybe in rare occasions when I said a woman is very traumatized, but a woman naturally always tests you how centered you are, how not necessarily in control of your emotions, because as we touched upon before, you can't really control your emotions, but how much can you regulate these emotions without just falling and collapsing into them constantly? Oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh my God, I have this, but okay, I experienced this, but I can hold space for that. I can be present with that. I can be with that and still function in the world. That's, by the way, also highly attractive. And all the shiny objects are not helping you for that. So where it might be true that you get some models who are also probably very insecure, what will happen naturally in the dynamic is that she will govern you. She will govern you, your emotions, everything. She says, baby, let's go. You jump up immediately. You feel like a total pleaser. You feel like you have no spine and no cock anymore. And that is simply not because she is emasculating you, but that is because you allow her testing to completely emasculate you. And of course, I don't want to say that there are no women out there who are, let's say, not really. Some women are very traumatized. Some women are also very emasculating just in their nature and are not really honoring that hero's journey. That exists as well. But I'm talking about a woman, let's say, who is very rooted in her feminine energy. She will naturally be testing you and seeing, okay, where are your blind spots? Where do you work? What can I do that you fall off center just for you to become stronger, right? And you can have all the money in the fucking world. And this is even a very well-known thing that many men believe that just because they get successful in the outer world, that means that they also get successful in their intimate relationships. But that is just complete bullshit, because many successful people are trapped in really toxic relationships. And while they have all the money and all the success, they're completely feeling drained and empty. So it's about training your spiritual muscle. And when you train your spiritual muscle, you really train it to stand in the storm of the feminine, to really embrace her testing, then I can guarantee every man listening to this, you won't be unsuccessful and living under the bridge. It just won't happen, because naturally you have a direction. Then you walk your path. So all the focus should be on developing this spiritual muscle.
Beautiful. No, I love that. It's often we see this, and I think one of the things you touched on there is this, the type of women that are attracted to these sorts of things, these money, the status and stuff. And often we judge so much in the world on how it looks on the outside, right? Especially people, right? We look at a woman and like, oh, she's really hot, and instantly the value in our minds as men often is like, oh, she's hot, so she's like to take it back to the way that men often do, is like literally numbers. It's like she's a 9, so instantly it's like, oh, she's a high value person, but I don't know who she is. I don't know who she is, what she's about, how she lives her life. But because she's beautiful, I've now succumbed to this, because to me that's all that's valuable is the outer stuff. And often I see with the types of men that are obsessed with, you know, when you ask them what do you look for in a woman, the first thing they say is beautiful, hot, stunning. And I often find those same men are very obsessed with money and status and looks. And like you said, their relationships are fucking chaotic, right? Like I work with men that have been in relationships where, you know, maybe they have a woman who basically doesn't contribute anything to their life, but it's like, actually, we want something deeper than that. As men, we yearn for something deeper, you know, and we don't often realize that's what we're yearning for.
Yeah. And I mean, this yearning that you're just touching upon, this is the deep yearning that in our birthrights, it is to be entirely free. I believe that is for every single person. And it is in your fucking birthright to have the woman of your dreams at your sides, to have the business of your dreams, and to do exactly whatever the fuck you want, and to be in that energetic state. But people focus on trying to achieve that without doing the deep inner work. And if you get there, let's say you get there without doing the deep inner work, you won't be able to enjoy it. You won't be able to receive it. You won't know what to do with it. And this is the story of many people who get very successful, have the amazing woman, let's say 10 out of 10, but they lose everything because they don't know how to hold that, how to be with that, how to receive that. There is a deep rooted belief, and many men have a deep rooted belief, and that sabotages their relationship, that they're not worthy of having a beautiful woman at their sides. So the whole paradigm shift is when you put all the superficial and outer appearance stuff away and you just focus on your inner growth. And then through that, everything outside of you falls in place in divine alignment.
Yeah. And it's beautiful you say, because I really have felt this deeply for myself. And we are tricked into, like, the world doesn't always, because we live in this fast world, it's like, oh, I'm working on myself. I've done work for 1 month. Surely my life should be perfect now. And it's like, no, you need to sit with this. This might take 5 years for your life just to start moving in the right direction, because it's like, I always say to people, it's taking you 30 years to get this fucked up, right? Or 40 years or whatever it is, right? And you're expecting 3 months, 6 months, a year for everything to be unfucked so quickly. It's like, no, you got to stick at this work for a long time to get where you want to get to build that purpose, to build the energy that's taking you forward towards what you really want.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And also the question always is fixing. That's another topic. We men, we want to fix everything. Fix your relationship, fix your emotions. But that is one of the big traps of the masculine, right? It's like you said, it's about how can you be with that instead of how can you fix that? Because fixing always means there is something wrong. You fix a car, but you can't fix your emotions. But if you try to use that same mindset for your emotions, then you will teach your own nervous system that there is something wrong with your emotions.
Yeah.
You will teach yourself that there is something inherently flawed about you. So a lot of men, for instance, experience shame around their sexuality. They experience shame around maybe even the size of their cock, their balls, or whatever. And by trying to fix that and get rid of that, you just strengthen that more and more and more. That shame becomes a vicious cycle. Every time you feel that shame, it's like, no, but I don't want this. How can I get these thoughts away? There is something wrong here. But I say, okay, what is the deeper lesson here? And the deeper lesson might be that you don't feel very secure in your manhood. You see, it often the answers and the lessons are much, much deeper. It's not that you're worried about the size of your cock, it's that you're worried about actually feeling like a man. What does it mean to feel like a man in today's society, to feel like a man in your relationship? And it's about really going deeper into the lesson. And instead of trying to fix it, look for the deeper lesson in it.
Yeah, one of my mentors, William Whitecloud, he says, he's like, your focus creates your reality. And it really fits into what you were saying. It's like when we focus on the fixing, we're actually focused on the assumed brokenness underneath, right? So every time we spend all this time trying to fix, we're actually just reinforcing the idea that there is a broken part of us that we cannot find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Mm. Wow, I feel like we really covered so much ground. There's so much in there around attractiveness and purpose, and you even touched on the sexual shame. And I was like, oh man, we could go on for days about that. But I feel like the only thing what was really there for me is, I feel like we've touched on this, is like the things that kill attraction. not being in your purpose, being a pleaser, not not speaking, it's not speaking your truth. It's like it's all through the episode, but these are these attraction killers that it almost kills. For me, what I really see, it's almost as if a man, it's not killing the attraction that women have, it's almost killing the aliveness that he has for himself in the way that he's living. Like, I'm not going to say that being overweight is necessarily inherently a bad thing, but it's like treating your body badly as well is something. It's like these things kill your own aliveness in yourself, not following your purpose, being a pleaser. I don't know if there's anything you would add to that list.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, to understand how to create polarity and attraction, you need to understand what kills polarity. And by knowing what kills polarity, and working on that, you naturally create more polarity. So no, there is actually nothing I would add there.
Perfect. Lorin, thank you. It's been a beautiful, beautiful experience to sit and discuss these topics and really get into the attraction. I'm sure my listeners, they are probably dying to find out where they can find you, where they can connect with you, and how they can even coach with you as well.
Yeah. People can find me. I mean, of course, I've got my book, Understand Women Better, out on Amazon or on my website, lorinkrenn.com. And apart from that, my two biggest platforms, number one is Instagram, just Lorin Krenn, and also my podcast, the Lorin Krenn podcast. So just Lorin Krenn and you'll find me everywhere.
Imagine. Beautiful. Amazing. Wow, it's been such a pleasure, man. It's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast, and I'm sure we will speak again. But listeners, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. As I will put in the show notes, I'll put all the details of where you can get in contact with Lorin. And I hope you enjoyed everything we heard today. And you can walk away knowing that the thing you want to do now to really be in your attractive masculinity is to search and look for your purpose and then live that every day. Even if, I always say, even if you're not sure what your purpose is, what is it that you love doing? Think of what you love doing that serves the world and just do it more. Focus on that thing first. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
cool.
Fully agree.
Cool. Thank you, listeners. I'll speak to you soon.